Today we will learn about control structure in Python. So we will start with if, and else. So in order to check these conditions, we need to use some operators that are that named as comparison operators. So following are some operators that I'm going to use. So let me explain each of these operators to you. So double equals to matches values on the both sides. If the values are equal, then it returns true. If the values are not equal, it will return true here if you use this not equal to operator. So if the first value is greater than the second value, this will return true. If the first value is greater than or equal to the second value, it will return true. If the first value is less than the second value, this will return true, and this is less than or equal to, then it will return true. Is going to check the identity of the class instances or the objects, and not is going to check if the condition or the variable is false. In is going to check if a certain variable is in the compound data type. Not in going to do the opposite. It's going to test if the value is not in there. And is going to be used inside the if condition. If both the conditions satisfy, only then if will return true, and or will be used inside the if statement, and this will return true if the any of the sides, or if any of values before or after or are returning true. So else if is used if the if condition returns false. When if condition returns false, it falls back to else if condition and checks it. If else if condition returns false, it will then go to else condition. So let's one by one test this. So I'll declare a variable a equals to 10 and b equals to 10. I will ask if a is equals to b, and let's print this. And if I print it, then I will say that a is equal to b. So let's run this. You can see that it says that a is equals to b. And if I check, we will also check if a is not equals to b. So if this condition is not satisfying, means if it is returning false, it's not going to go inside if. So for this purpose we need to give it else. So I would say this is false. So every time when the above this one returns false, it is going to fall back here, and it's going to print this is false. So you can see that this has printed this is false. Well, let's make it true. Now you can see that 11 is not equal to 10. It means that now I need to replace the text. So I'll say this is true. So if a is not equal to b, then this comes here, and we can see that a is not equal to b. This will return this is true. Use another operator, that is greater than. If a is greater than b, yes it is, so it returns true. Now let's make it false. A is not greater than 10 because they are both equal. Now let's use greater than or equal to. If you use greater than or equal to, this is going to return true because a is not greater than b, but it is equal to b. So similarly, less than works like this. So a here is less than b, so this is returning true. So if a is not less than b, it returns false. If a is less than or equals to, so here a is not less than b, but it is equal to b, so this is going to return true here. As you can see there, this is returning true. Now let's use is. So for that I need to create a list. So because a is used for the identity comparison. If the objects are identical, only then it's going to return true. So for that we need instances. So we are creating an instance of list. Now if I say a is b, here you can see that the a is initialized by a list, List is an object of a class list. So this is basically an instance of a class list. This is also an instance of a class list. Even though values of both the lists are same, but still the instances are different. So if I test the equality between both, this is going to return true because both the lists are same. But the lists are same but not identical. So let's test it. So this is going to say false. Let's make is operator return true. So what I'm going to do, that I'm going to assign A to C. Now A is a list, is an instance of a list, and this list is assigned to A. I'm going to assign the A object to the C. Now C and A both are identical. So if I say A is C, it's going to turn true because the instance of A here assigned to the instance of C. Now we will use not. So for not, let me create a few variables. I say A equals to 1. So 1 in programming language is true and 0 is false. So let's start with 1. If I say not A, this is going to return false because A is 1 means A is true. Let's make it 0. Not A means that if A is false, A here is equals to 0 means A is false. So not A will return true here because A is false. So this is going to return true. So now we are going to say true. Here you can see this is false because A is true, and if I say false and test it, this is going to return true. Now we will check in. So let's say I'm creating a list of 1 2 3 4 and 5, and I want to check a value inside a list. For example, I want to check if 1 is in A. So if 1 is in A, it's going to turn true and it's going to print this statement, this true statement. And if value is not in there, it's going to fall back to else. As you can see, this is returned false. Now if you can also use not in. So 10 is not in the list A, it's going to return true. And if I check a value which is already in a list, and if I check it with the not in operator, so A not in A, that is false. So because A is already present in the list, so if we test this, this is going to turn false. Now after using other operators, we will use and or, and if. So and is used when you want to check both the conditions are true. If both the conditions are true, only then if is going to return true if the and operator is used. And or returns true if any of the condition inside the if returns true. So let's try it. So let's say A equals to 10, B is equals to 11. So I would say A, if A is equals to 10 and B is equals to 11. So if both the conditions are satisfied, this is going to say this is true. We will test it, and this is going to return true because both A and B are returning true because A is equals to 10 and B is equals to 11. So if you make any of these conditions false, it's going to return false. So let's say make it 12. Now this part is returning true, but this part it is returning false. So if any of the condition is false, this is going to return false, and this will fall back to else statement. And here I will say this is false. So let's run this, and you can see that this is false. But in the or condition, if you use the or inside the if, this is going to check whether this or this is true. You can use or as many times as you want. If there is another variable to check, or even if you want to check the same variable, if you are saying that if A is equal to 10 or a equals to 11 or a equals to 12. A is 10, this will return true. If a is 11, this will return true. Even if a is 12, because this is satisfying here, so this will return true. But if this is 13, so this is not satisfying any of the conditions, so this is going to fall back to the false. Now we will move towards else if. Now I'm going to check if a is greater than 10 or a is less than 10 or a is equals to 10. So here I'm only being able to check two conditions, but if I want to check multiple conditions, I will use elif. So else if a is greater than 10, I would print a is greater than 10, and if a is less than 10, I would say a is less than 10. And if a is neither greater nor less than 10, so it means that a is equals to 10. So if we print this, here a is equals to 10, so a is not less than 10, a is not greater than 10, so it's going to come to the else condition, so it's going to print a equals to 10. Now let's make a greater than 10. Here 11 is greater than 10, it's going to satisfy this condition and it's going to print a greater than 10. So if you can see that a is greater than 10. So if you make it less than 10, so this is not going to come here, because the if will satisfy the condition, and when if satisfy the condition, it never goes to the else condition. Now if you print this, you see that a is less than 10. So this was all about if, else if and else, and we also use all the operators in the comparison. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.